So the next poem I'm going to do is called Why. It's by Hughes, Jolley. Just to give you a little setting, this is a lady in her 50s who lost her one son to somebody murdered her one child. So she's basically asking the question why. And I just found this poem on one of those user-submitted sites. So it's hard to know how accurate or true this information is. Obviously, a poem is a poem. So, but the introduction. So the poem goes like this. I watch the sunrise in the sky. I ask God the question, why? Why is there hatred in the world? Why are there starving boys and girls? Why is there addiction everywhere? Why are there people not willing to share? Why is there prejudice and fear? Why are there people not willing to be near? I say, God, please tell me why. He whispers me a simple reply. You must experience bad to know the good. You must do right just as you know you should. You must love me, yourself, and everyone. You must spread hope, faith, and love until your life is done. You must do unto others as you want them to do to you. You must persevere in all that you do. All these things you must embrace, and God assures everything else will fall into place. So, I have to admit, when I first read this poem, I was a little bit moved. Maybe it was just the right time of morning, or had too much coffee or something, but it did move me a little bit. So I wanted to share it. I also wanted to critique and analyze and criticize it. So this, basically, she's asking the question, why? This is what any theologian would call the problem of theodicy. Obviously, the lady writing is a religious person. It seems probably a Christian, and having lost her son, and also seeing a lot of other cruelty and evil and terrible things in the world. She mentions 6. She's wondering why. So first of all, I want to point out the 6 she mentions, I think, are a little light. I don't know that, I think only 2 of those or so would probably make my top 6. But anyhow, anyway, so she mentions all the horrible things, and then she moves on to answer the question of why, the problem of theodicy. And the first line, in my opinion, actually answers the question, and it's the best that anyone who believes in a good God can do on this front. And it's, you must experience bad to know the good. And I think that I think there's ways to express that much more beautifully, but you get the sentiment. And I actually really like that piece of it. Unfortunately, because of most of the major religions, I think their theology can't quite get that concept. I mean, this maybe in Eastern religions and stuff you'll get this strand of wisdom throughout it, but the main monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, I think, have a hard time with this, and that's because there's the story of, obviously, the Garden of Eden, and there was no sin or evil in this place. It was man's basically mistake that caused the fall and caused the problem. So this answer, you must experience bad to know the good, is an unacceptable one, because in this perfect place there was no bad. You didn't need to experience bad to know the good. So that's why, despite that part of the poem being quite beautiful, and this being having religious backgrounds, I don't think that many it's not going to be able to spread too well in religious circles, at least not ones that are prone to thinking too hard about their theology. Then it moves on to a part where I really dislike, and I think this type of answer is the type of answer that religious organizations have to give, and it's a non-answer, and it's basically a laundry list of things you have to do, and then just trust that everything else will fall into place. And I think the reason I wanted to criticize this poem is because of that. I mean, you move from a somewhat beautiful answer, and I was hoping that the rest of the poem would expound on that you must experience bad to know the good, but it really doesn't. It shifts to you must do right just as you know you should, so now you have to behave. You must love me, yourself, and everyone. So again, you must love a God. She's speaking to God. You must love me, yourself, and everyone. You must spread love, hope, and faith until your life is done. All these things you must do. You must do unto others as you want them to do to you. So again, this is a laundry list of stuff. I do, generally speaking, I do like that sentiment on the golden rule. And originally, when I heard it, it annoyed me because the way the author phrased it, you must do unto others as you want them to do to you. It's difficult because it's you must do unto others as you would have them to do unto you or something. But you must do unto others as you want them to do to you is just a funny phrasing. But it actually has kind of grown on me now. And then you must persevere in all you do. That's just like, I don't know, now we're just like talking about mundane thing, persevering in all you do. But all these things, but the other thing that I find interesting, so the last line is, all these things you must embrace, and God assures everything else will fall into place. There's an interesting shift that takes place here, and I think it's worth noting. So he whispers me, I say, God, please tell me why. He whispers me a simple reply. So now God's talking to her. He tells her everything. You can see how he's telling her. You must experience bad to know the good. You must do right just as you know you should. It's God talking to her, God talking to her. You must love. You must. And then the last one is all these things you must embrace, and God assures everything else will fall into place. So now the last line, you can see that God's not, if the way I would have phrased it, if God was still talking to me, all these things you must embrace, and I assure everything else will fall into place. And God assures everything else will fall into place. So now she shifts from being talked to by God to telling you basically how to behave, or that everything else will fall into place. So it's just interesting to note how this shift occurs and how easily it can occur. And so basically, I just wanted to point that out. So what else on that poem? I think, just from my perspective, I think if you don't ask the question, then there's no problem. If you ask the question of theodicy, it's going to be very difficult to solve, especially given the other problems that come with any sort of theology. Anyhow, let's see. There once was a horny young Jew who was vainly attempting to screw. His wife screamed, "Oy vey, if you keep up this way, the Messiah will come before you."